What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Quincy Bell Sports. And today, I have a video that I think you guys are really gonna like. And that is going to be 10 tips to help you fill out your March Madness bracket. Now, granted, these aren't going to help you 100% because no one gets 100% on their bracket, not even the experts. But if you need to win your office pool or your family pool, or if you're trying to win my Quincy Bell Sports Challenge, which I just started. I made a community post about it. I'm actually going to be starting an ESPN tournament challenge bracket pool. There are some rules you guys have to follow, though. One, links in the description. Please join my challenge. Here is something I'm really excited to do. Rules. Put your name as your bracket. Like, mine is Quincy Bell Sports' bracket. And also, make sure you comment often on my videos. That way, should you win, I can DM you on YouTube. Because the winner is going to have a chance to come on Quincy Bell Sports and talk about their bracket. I'm not sure how that's going to work. We'll get into that when we cross that bridge. But the winner of the bracket challenge will get to come on Quincy Bell Sports via call. We'll figure that out more as it comes on. But again, link in the description. Be sure to check that out. Now let's get into 10 tips to help you fill out your bracket. My number 10 tip. Stay away from the number one overall seed. You can still pick number one seeds. The number one seeds still have the best overall chances of winning because number one seeds have won, I think, 13 out of the last 20 NCAA championships. But that being said, the number one overall seed, you just read the one up in the top corner. You want to stay away from them. The number one overall seed hasn't won since Louisville won it in 2013 there. And since their championship technically got stripped away, you have to go back to 2012. Kentucky was the last time the number one overall seed happened. And we all know what happened last year with Virginia. And the year before, I think it was Villanova who lost to Wisconsin. You're going to want to stay away from the number one overall seed because that team, with the number one overall seed, comes a lot of pressure. And usually that team doesn't perform well under pressure. So my number 10 tip, stay away from the number one overall seed. My next tip kind of contradicts the last one. But it would be, don't get too crazy with really big upsets. That being, even though I know y'all are going to say UMBC won last year, UMBC needed so many things to go right. In the first round, a 1 seed has a 99% chance has won 99% of the time, 2 seeds have won 94% of the time, and 3 seeds have won 85% of the time. I would stay away from picking 14, 15, or 16 seeds because the odds aren't really in your favor. But there are some other games that are going to be in your favor coming up in a second here, and we'll get to those right now. So my number 8 tip is trendy upsets you want to pick. My one thing would be, everybody's like, oh, the 5-12 is the best upset. Well, and a 12 has beaten a 5 at least one time in 29 of the last 34 years. But that being said, the best upset pick for you might be the 11 seed over the 6 seed. The 11 seed actually has a career winning percentage above 50% at 56% in the first round. And 11 seeds actually have a statistical better winning percentage in the second round than 5 seeds do. So if you're going to pick an 11 seed, it might not be that hard to move them on to the Sweet 16. My number 7 tip would be pick a play-in team. I think a play-in team has won in the first round almost every year. They usually always win in the first round because they have all the momentum coming with them into the first round game after winning said play-in game. So my number 7 tip is pick up at least one play-in team. They usually prove with big benefits. Last year it was Syracuse, and they have really, I'm telling you, Play-in teams are a good way to go. My number 6 tip is be smart with your Cinderella. You want to pick at least one Cinderella. You have to. It always happens in March. You have to pick at least one Cinderella. But you want to make sure you're smart about it. Pick a team that specializes really well in one area of play. Last year's Loyola Chicago team, sharpshooters from 3. 2011's VCU team played a very good press style of defense. 2006's George Mason team crashed the offensive boards and got some second chance points. So before you pick that Cinderella, do some research on them, see what they do best, and look at the teams they are most likely going to face on their way. See if that Cinderella can expose some of those weaknesses. My number 5 tip, and this is a big one. This is one of my pet peeves. Do not pick all 1 seeds to make the Final Four. It's only happened once, and it was in 2008 when all 4 1 seeds made it. I know you guys are all going to say, well, these are the 4 best teams. There's obviously a reason they're the number 1 seed. All 4 1 seeds has only happened once. Please, for the love of God, do not be the guy that picks all 1 seeds. My next tip would be number 4. Pick at least, this kind of goes back to picking your Cinderella smart. Pick at least 1 seed below 6 to make it to the Final Four. You might think, well, why would I want to do that? They're usually not going to be favored in the first round, or even if they do win the first round, they're going to have to face a higher team in the second round. How do you think they're going to get through the Sweet 16 and Elite 8? There's always at least 1, and this goes back to the do your research on your Cinderella team, because I could just rattle off a few. Last year, Loyola Chicago, an 11 seed that made it. Before that, it was... There was 7-seeded South Carolina, 10-seeded Syracuse, 11-seeded VCU, 7-seeded Michigan State. Go Spartans, by the way. And you want to pick one of those, but you got to make sure you do research about them. It goes back to my point. And so I would also say pick at least 1 lower seed to make the Final Four. My number 3 tip. This is a big one for me. Look at teams that have momentum going into the tournament. If you're looking at a team, I'll just throw out one. I just made a video about these guys. VCU. Right now, they have 18 straight wins, and should they sweep the A10 Conference Championship, they're going to be coming in with steamrolling momentum. Take 2011's UConn team, a 9 seed in the Big East, rattled off, I think, six straight wins in the Big East tournament, and kept that momentum rolling into the tournament. I would pay attention to teams that have gotten some good wins as of late, and who's hot and who's not. If there's a team that has lost a big game as of late, you might want to shy away from picking them. I would take a look. Who's hot, who's not. That's a big one for me. You want to make sure you look at teams with momentum. Like, I know people are going to take in, for instance, Villanova. This year, lost to Penn and Furman early in the season. But they have rattled off some good wins in a row, and now they have momentum picking up. But people are still going to look back at the beginning of the year. They lost to Furman and Penn. I can't pick these guys. You'll want to focus more on what's happening as of late. My number 3 tip, look at who's hot and who's not. My number 2 tip, pick at least 1 stupid upset that you have. Just go on your gut with a stupid upset. You know why? They always happen. Last year, I had a stupid feeling about Marshall. Not a real good team. Didn't do that well in the season. But they had momentum going into the tournament because I won Conference USA in amazing fashion. That goes back to my last point. But there's no way they're going to be Wichita State, right? I went with my gut, picked Marshall, and they ended up winning. Go with your gut. Because there's always stupid upsets that end up happening. And you're definitely going to want to pick at least one of those. So, pick at least 1 stupid upset. People will criticize you for it. They'll laugh at you. But if they end up winning, just remember, he who laughs last laughs best. And my number one tip is look at teams who have tournament experience and teams who have done it in the tournament. North Carolina, I think, has gone to the most Final Fours. And so if you come with them and maybe a team like Tennessee who's not really been there that often, you might want to pick UNC. Teams like Duke, Kansas, who's another one? Well, they're not. Arizona's not in the tournament. Teams that have gone through upsets before. Middle Tennessee beat Minnesota, and a lot of people picked them because they knew Middle Tennessee could do it because they had already beat Michigan State. Look at teams who have either gone really far in the past or have gotten upsets in the past, and also a team that has been upset in the past. Take Virginia, for example. UMBC is not the only time they've gotten upset. They got upset by Syracuse in the 2017 tournament. Got upset in that game. Florida blew them out one year in a 4-5 matchup. Teams that have not done well. So this is kind of a three-parter. Teams that usually go far, maybe pick them. Teams that usually end up getting upsets, pick them. And teams that usually tend to get upset, you might want to pick them. So those are 10 tips for filling out your March Madness bracket. You don't have to follow my tips. You could probably not follow any of my tips and get a better bracket than me. That's just how March rolls. We all know Debbie from your office pool has a better chance of winning than Chad, who straight up rattles off BPI, freaking points per game, damn defensive efficiency on the road. Debbie has a better chance than that guy. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But then again, thank you guys for watching. I do want to remind you one more time about the ESPN Tournament Challenge. Daisy would like you to enter. She would appreciate it. Remember, the winner will get a chance to come on to Quincy Bell Sports. I'll have to work out the details with that. We'll have to see. And if I end up winning the pool, it'll go to the second person. And like if the first person doesn't respond, we'll go to the second person, then third. It'll keep going. But if you guys would want a chance to do that, make sure you enter that pool. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, guys, I'll see you next time. Go click that link.